Greetings, greetings, family. Sister Shanice in the house. Welcome, welcome to another Sister Shanice show. As you can see, I've got some awesome guests in the house and really looking forward to our conversation today. Those of you who have seen the flyer, you will know that we're going to be talking about Sudan today. This is going to be part 2 to a conversation that we actually started a couple of strongs ago. Some say weak, we say strong. And, you know, it's a very painful topic that we're going to be talking about, family, but it's so, so important that we spotlight, that we highlight what's actually happening to our family in Sudan. And so, you know, spread the word, family, let everybody know that we are live and we are going to be having the conversation. On my top left-hand corner, I've got Brother Leader Bandaka. Brother Leader Bandaka, please unmute and introduce yourself to our wonderful, wonderful audience. And I'm going to be posting the links in the background.
Tendai Mwari, my name is Brother Leader Mbandaka. I am the spiritual leader of the Al-Kebulan Revivalist Movement. We are a liberation movement that is based upon an African-centered spiritual cultural philosophy called Al-Kebulan Livity, which means living according to the divine teachings and traditions of our mother culture. Rumbidzo Kunamwari Africa, to the God of Africa be the glory. Kudzai Mudzimumukuru, give praises unto our ancestors. Tendai Mwari.
Tendai Mwari, thank you so much for joining us today, Brother Leader Bandaka. We, as always, look forward to the contribution that you're going to be making to the discussion that we're going to be having on our show this evening. As I said, family, please do spread the word. We've also been joined today by a first-time guest on my show, Brother Tantumon Gararis. Welcome, welcome, Brother Tantumon. Please introduce yourself to the audience.
Okay, my name is Tanut Amun. I'm from Sudan. I born in Nubia, far north, in the border with Egypt. I'm a Nubian American, and I'm a human rights activist, and I work in the issues of indigenous Sudanese cases.
Thank you so, so much, my beloved brother, for joining us this evening. And we look forward to the conversation that we're going to be having with you and to the information that you're going to be bringing to our attention on the show today. And we've also been joined by Brother Dor, who is joining us from South Sudan. Unfortunately, there's a power outage where he is. So we're going to have to just visualize our brother, but we can certainly hear his voice. Brother Dor, please take yourself off mute and introduce yourself to the audience. Brother Dor, go ahead.
Race first, family. I'm glad to be here tonight with you because it's like there's some familiarity I'm feeling right now, you know. Because it's a group of people that just came together as African, identifying themselves as one people, discussing common issues that are facing us across the African world. My name is Brother Dor Akolbul. I come from South Sudan, currently living in a wheel. It is just a city bordering North Sudan, you know, next to Nuba Mountain, next to Darfur, you know. And so I am organizing for Team RBG, Team Red, Black, and Green. I see Baba, Brother Leader Mbandaka right there with Red, Black, and Green, and Marcus Garvey in the background. So right now I'm completely fired up because I see my kinfolk out there, right? So I'm organizing for Team RBG worldwide. Race first, family. Happy 12J.
Race first. Indeed.
That's Marcus Garvey's Race first salute.
Word, sound, and power. Word, sound, and power. Garvey lives.
Garvey lives.
Messiah lives.
Messiah lives. Indeed.
So
yes.
So I hope soon, you know, for upcoming shows, to be fully prepared and contribute constructively. Because I'm Team RBG lead organizer in South Sudan, and we want to promote the fact that we are at war, World African Revolution, and we need to put our heads together like the way we're doing it. Race first, and a bit old.
Absolutely. Ashe, welcome, Brother Dor. Appreciate love your energy. This is, the energy of the young people coming through. And it's so important that we embrace, the wisdom of the elders and the energy of the youth. And when it comes together, we can be the change and the force for change that we want to see. So, family, before we go forward, let's ask Brother Leader Bandaka to usher in for us the spirits of the ancestors to take control of this session this evening, because we want it to be a fruitful, constructive, productive conversation that leads to ideas for solutions and the outcomes that we want in terms of peace in the region. Go ahead, beloved Leader Bandaka.
Tenai Kuzai muzimu mukuru, tendai mwari, regai andi no taura ne pungwa zimu muyo mangu. May the words of our mouths and the meditation of our hearts be acceptable in thy sight, O Jah of our creation. Tenai mwari, Africa. Ngai simozire zitarayo nzwai mitero yedu isumriayo itumriako uyamweya komborere uyamweya muzwene isumriayo itumriako tenai mwari Jah. God bless Africa. Lift up the name of Africa on high. Hear humble prayers, oh Mario Jah. We, the family of Africa. We, this family of Africa. Come, Great Spirit, come. Come and bless us. Come, Great Spirit, come. Come and be with us. We, the family of Africa. We, this family of Africa. Tenai mwari. Hey, we gather here in our virtual Ipetisut, our virtual holy of holy, our sacred space. We gather here this evening to extend our hearts and our souls to our people, our beleaguered people in the Sudan, suffering, violent, vicious, and evil destruction of their lives. In this moment and in this space, we evoke the spirits of Muzimu Mukuru, our great ancestors. We say, Muzimu Mukuru ye alkebulan, Muzimu Mukuru ye alkebulan, Muzimu Mukuru ye alkebulan, uyayi, great ancestors of Mama Africa, great ancestors of Mama Africa, great ancestors of Mama Africa, come. Uyayi tipe yo Masimba, uyayi tipe yo Oluzivo, uyayi tipe yo Chikumberero, uyayi tipe yo Kushinga, uyayi, come and give us your strength. Come and give us your blessing. Come and give us your wisdom, your courage, and your understanding. Let us walk your walk again. Let us talk your talk again. Help us to see your vision again. Help us to rediscover the dignity and the pride in being African, the first people of the first land, the custodians of the conscience of humanity. We who were sent in this dispensation of the cycle of life to manifest Ma'at, truth, justice, righteousness, harmony, balance, reciprocity, and bring order to the earth. To manifest Jehuti, wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, keen insight, exceptional perception, and authoritative utterance of the power of the word. Let it be that tonight, as we gather under the direction of our beloved Queen Mother Goddess, Queen Shanice, may we be touched by the wisdom of Jehuti. May we be submerged in the spirit of Ma'at, that all we say is true and just, wise and righteous, so that all we say and do from here forward will be channeled to the total liberation of our land and our people, the glory of Mwari Nyakusika, the creator of the universe, our great ancestors, and the attainment of a much higher quality of human existence. Africa, to the God of Africa be the glory. Give praises unto our ancestors. Tendai Mwari, Tendai Mwari, Tendai Mwari.
Woo! Powerful, powerful. Thank you so much, Brother Leader Bandaka. And I'm sure that went right up into the spiritual realm and just sent our ancestors in this direction. Family, if you've got the link, please do share it. We are already starting, and it's such an important conversation that we need to be having as a family today. I've just been sharing the link a bit there in the background. Please do the same. If you're in the house, we welcome you, and ask you to let us know by dropping a message in the chat. Okay, so sign in and drop a message in the chat. I know sometimes people say to me that they put a message in the chat, but I didn't read it out. But I try and read as many messages as I can see, and I don't know why, but sometimes I think YouTube even hides some of the messages. But I can see some of you are already in the house, which is absolutely fantastic. We've got the Kashiba in the house from Maryland, USA. Rise up, rise up. Welcome, Kashiba. Great to have you in the house. We got MS Kev in the house as well, also from the USA. Welcome, welcome. Great to have you in the house. He's rising up. The family is saying B1, that's black first, beautiful, black and beautiful first. Yes, B1 people, kings and queens, rise up, everybody. We got Brother Kwame Aboje in the house, rising up, each and every one of us. Thank you, beloved Kwame Aboje. It's always great to have you in the house. So, if you want me to give you a shout out, please do. Let us know that you're in the house, and we will most definitely be bringing you into the conversation today. Also, just want to quickly say a big thank you to everybody that joined me on my Black History Month special program of events. Wow. I was going through at a great pace my book, Hidden in the Shadows of Ancient Britain, An Erased African History Restored. And we were bringing the pages of that book to life. And so to everyone that joined me for all those 8 sessions, thank you so much. Brother Leader Bandaka, you've got the book. We've got a few books, actually. Have you read it as yet?
My dear sister,
you take too long to answer. That means that you don't read it yet.
No, I know. Yeah, but the spirit of my art commands that I humble myself in response to that question. It's not because, my dear sister, it's not because I don't value the tremendous work that I know you have done with that book. I will get around to reading it, but
Brilliant.
you know your brother.
Forward.
You know your brother's workload, yeah?
Yes, I do. I do.
Well, I'll get.
And you're not alone, brother leader. That's why I did this series of workshops, because quite a few of the family have got the book, hadn't had time to read it. So I said, let's do the reading together. And,
Absolutely.
you know, the family was just blown away by the history. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, basically, family, we have at least 44,000 years of African history here in Britain. They try to make out that we just turned up here with the Windrush. But from the research that I have been doing, I've been uncovering a phenomenal amount of African history that they have hidden behind a veil. But I've pulled the veil open, and I've shared what I've been uncovering in my book. So if you want to know about our history, just email me at shanicebooks55@gmail.com, or you can get a copy of the book on Amazon. Okay, support the works and acquire the knowledge that they have been hiding from us for centuries. So thank you again to everyone that's been joining us, and to those who are now going to go out and do further research. Woo! I'm looking forward to your works. I'm looking forward to your articles. I'm looking forward to your books. This is what it's about, inspiring each other to do the works. Okay, family, as you come through the door, please do give us a thumbs up as well. Great to have you in the house. Yes, Brother Kwame saying, Ashe, Sister Shanice, I hope you enjoyed yourself at the Goldsmith University College. Yes, on Imani Day. It was such a brilliant event, very well organized. I want to rise up David Simon and Sister Neb for the work that they did, putting that together. Very well done indeed. We've got our beautiful Sister Sheriffess in the house. Rise up, my sis. Welcome, Black. Good to have you in the house. We've missed you. We've missed you. And, you know, so lovely to have our sis Sheriffess in the house today. To those of you who want to shout out, just drop a message in the chat, because we are ready to go into the topic of conversation today. It's such an important conversation that we need to be having, as I said, so that we can continue to raise awareness about what's going on in Sudan. So let me do the introduction right now without further ado. Okay, so a couple of strongs ago, we had part one where we were talking about Sudan. On the one hand, we were looking at the fact that Sudan is the cradle of Asian African civilization. And, you know, that's where we started from. And I did a brief presentation about ancient Kush. And then, you know, as the show went on, obviously, we continued and to present day and talks about the horrors that our people are experiencing and the modern genocide that's taking place in Sudan. Well, today is part two, and we've been joined by two other guests today. And, you know, we're going to be taking the story further, because we've got to get to the heart of the crisis, family. This crisis is actually tearing the Sudan apart. It's tearing our people apart. The war, you know, has been raging now for decades, and, you know, it's been pulled apart for political reasons, religious reasons. The power struggles are happening there. There are those behind the scenes with their own vested interests, you know, who are complicit and actively involved in arming both sides of the armies that are at war with each other in Sudan at the moment. And it's turning the life of our people upside down. There's guns and tanks on the street, you know. It's hell. It must be hell to live there right now. The communities are divided. They're divided by religion. They're divided by ethnicity. They're being exploited, as I said, by the external interests. And it's the innocent citizens, the men, the women, and the children who are trapped, who are suffering in the crossfire of this war, while those two generals, the two rivals, you know, have their armies just creating war and genocide across that huge expanse of land we call Sudan. millions displaced, thousands, hundreds of thousands of our people have died. And not enough is being said about it. The world, to a large extent, has just remained silent. But what we're saying here is that silence is complicity, and we're not prepared to be complicit in what's going on in Sudan. And so without further ado, I would like to invite my guests to open up the conversation that we're going to have on this topic today. Brother Leader, do you want to start for us, please? And maybe, and I'll say go around 10 minutes each, and then we'll go back round again. Brother Leader Bandaka. Thank you. Please take yourself off mute.
Tendai Mwari.
Tendai Mwari.
I would have been happy to hear from my brothers from.
How did I know you was going to say that? Okay, we got some powerful.
Not least because I did the libation, and also I was the only guest on the previous show. But I am
okay. Absolutely fine. No problem whatsoever.
Let me just say, my dear sister, that when we talk about the crisis in the Sudan, that we are talking about a crisis that has been deemed by the United Nations to be the worst humanitarian crisis on the planet. I think we need to be aware of that. It is internationally recognized to be the worst humanitarian crisis on the planet. But when we look at the response of the so-called international community to the crisis, it is woefully inadequate. Worse yet, when we look on the African continent and the African Union, one has to ask the question, what is the purpose of the African Union? Because it has been totally ineffectual in this particular crisis. African blood is being shed. African lives are being wasted in the thousands. Millions of people are being displaced, both internally and externally, creating situations of insanitary conditions that our people are living in. Hunger, disease is the order of the day for millions of Africans in the Sudan, a rich country in terms of its natural resources and its human resources. And then there is the instability that is created in the region where millions of people are spilling over into bordering nations. That is the situation. We're talking about a crisis more than 10, 20 times more severe than what is happening in Gaza. And Gaza is on the news every day, but we hear little or nothing about what is happening in the Sudan. And that is because we live in a world where African humanity has been reduced to something below human consideration, something below even the status of animals. Because if animals were suffering in any part of the world in the way Africans are suffering in the Sudan, there would be more cohesive responses, serious responses to that situation. So we as Africans have to understand that we are our own liberators. We are our own protectors. We are our own healers. We have got to generate the force globally that is going to put pressure on the so-called international community, since we don't have our own international mechanism in place, or even our own continental mechanism in place. We who call ourselves Pan-Africanists, we who call ourselves freedom fighters, We have got to bring pressure to bear on the governments of the nations that we live in and on the so-called international community to make the appropriate responses. So I'll just make that brief comment and leave it there. I am just so honored to be on the show this evening with our elder brother. My brother looks like a dignified elder, my brother Tantut Amon, and my dear brother Dor. I look forward to hearing from you this evening. Tendai Mwari.
Tendai Mwari, rise up family, as you've heard from Brother Leader Bandaka there. It really is up to us, you know, as individuals or within our organizations, we're doing all that we can to bring pressure onto the powers that be to be doing something, saying something about what's happening in Sudan right now. Imagine the worst atrocities that's happening in the world today, worse than what's going on in Palestine, and we hardly hear anything about it. Let's go over to our beloved guest, our brother Tantur Amon. Welcome, beloved.
Thank you. Thank you, Sister Shenez and Brother Bendeka and all sisters and brothers and Hotep.
Hotep, my elder brother.
The problem of Sudan, you are following the problem of Sudan very well, and you know what is going on. It's a crime against humanity. I will try to explain the problem of Sudan from the root cause, the beginning of the problem. Sudan, the name itself, it's a big problem. When Britain left Sudan in 1956, we were that time, our name was not Sudan, but the dictator of Egypt, Jamal Abdel Nasser, an institute called Al-Azhar in Egypt. It's a religious institute, the incubator of Arabizing and Islamizing Africa. They call Al-Azhar. Both Jamal Abdel Nasser and Al-Azhar, they label us as Sudan. Sudan in Arabic culture means land of slaves. Sudan it is not a name, it's a label. Our name was Nubia. And Nubia is one of pillars of African civilization, Nubia and Kemet. Egypt have a problem itself. Egypt became Arab Republic, and it became the center of Arab ideology. They built a school, Al-Azhar, and the dictator Jamal Abdel Nasser established Arab nationalism, and they host the Arab Union. So Egypt completely became Arabized. Egyptians worried about their new title, Center of Arabia. And Arab is not Africa. They worried about a black mother of Egypt called Nubia. They want to erase the word Nubia from the history and from the memory of the people in the Nile Valley civilization and in Africa itself. Nasser of Egypt destroyed Nubia in Kemet itself, part of Nubia, and they changed the name of state of Nubia in Egypt to a state of Aswan. And the greater Nubia, in 1956, they label it as Sudan. All this to hide a black mother of Egypt, which is Nubia. So since that time, the state of Sudan run by Egypt. The military and the army of Egypt, they running Egypt itself from 1952, the coup d'etat of Nasser of Egypt and his friends. They are running Sudan. And they engineered all the curriculums of education in Egypt. And they impose Arabic language. In new country, they label it as Sudan. They impose Arabic language as the national language. And all of us, who we call Sudanese now, none of us was speaking Arabic. Very few who was Arabized by Azhar was speaking Arabic, but majority, over 95% of the population was not speaking Arabic. But Egypt and state of Sudan, they impose Arabic by force in curriculum. And if you don't master Arabic language, you cannot go forward in your school. And in some cases, you cannot have education at all. So Sudan problems start from the beginning, since the Britain left Sudan. Some people call Independent Day, but we are not independent yet. Sudan in crisis with itself. Sudan knows they are African and they are center of Africa, and they have African languages, and these languages, we cannot master them. The state of Sudan push out the African languages, Nubian languages, and impose Arabic language. So we grow up, my generation and my father's generation, we grow up as Arabized blacks, run by Egypt, controlled by army leaders of Egypt, and Egypt is until now run by military army, because the title Arab Republic, it doesn't fit Egypt itself. Egypt it's a part of Africa. Egypt is a daughter of Nubia, and Egypt was Kemet. When Nubia was Kush, Egypt was Kemet. So that's the reason Sudan run by military, what they call Sudan army or Sudan military. This military, the ideology of this military is Islamo-Arabization. They against all indigenous Sudanese who are not Arab. And indigenous Sudanese, they speak their own languages. Those languages was existing for thousands of years. And in those languages, our history and our philosophy, our methods, our gods, all these gods today called as Egyptian gods and goddesses, they exist in our language. We use them every day, like God Show, God Isis, God Hero, all the old gods and goddesses of Nile Valley civilization exist in our languages. That's why we are not allowed to study our language. from 1956. And we punished even speaking this language in the school, in the elementary level. Myself, I punished 100 times when I was in first grade and second grade until I pick up Arabic language. So Sudan cries start from the beginning, from the name. And then they change the name of the cities and towns and villages to Arabic name. The capital, what they call Khartoum, it was Soba. Soba was a capital of Nubian kingdom of Alodia. They imposed Arabic name as a capital. They call it Khartoum. Khartoum means the trunk of the elephant. So they are removing all historical elements of Nubia from the land, people's name, city's name, town's name, and they name the schools and institutes and universities by Arabic Islamic name. And lately, they built a daughter institute of Al-Azhar in Khartoum. They call Africa University, but it's not African University. Actually, it's institute to Arabize Africa. And all the radical, most of the radical who create problem in West Africa and East Africa, they graduate from this clergy school, what they call Africa University. So Sudan problem, it goes back. This is the last stage of the Sudan disease, that Sudan government was fighting from the beginning, from the 1956. Sudan government was fighting its own people. Sudan never go war with any neighbor country, but always from 1956 until today, it's in a war with itself, with its people. The people, he see them not Arab, and the state want to Arabize them by force, even by eliminating them, they're killing them, and this is what is going on. And this problem is secretly supported by Arab Union, Arabizing Sudan, because everybody knows Sudan, Nubia is the heart of Africa. I always say Africa is a huge elephant, and the heart of this elephant is Nubia, pumping the blood and the life in Africa. They want to destroy Nubia, the word Nubia, the history of the Black civilization in the Nile Valley, the elements of the Blacks in the Nile Valley. What is going on? This is the last stage of Sudan, killing its own people. So I see this is a problem of Sudan. And now, as my brother says, Sudanese themselves, they're fighting their own people and they're supporting people of Gaza, because this is an act and this is an ideology of Arab League and Arab nationalism who put in Sudan, planted in Sudan by dictator of Egypt, Jamal Abdel Nasser, who completely destroy Nubia and change the culture and the names of the people to Arabic. So we are in crisis. We have identity crisis. And this is our problem, identity problem. I stop here, and then later on, we're going to add more. Thank you.
You did.
Thank you so much, Brother Tuta Amun. Thank you so much for, setting out the problem from the identity perspective. This is something that, we had speculated about and talked briefly about in part one, but you've actually, confirmed for us from someone with that historical knowledge and background about the extent to which, they're actually going to try and eradicate the memory of that glorious history of Kush. Wow, and so there's all these layers, isn't there, of terror that's happening in the region. And as you pointed out, the external forces that are involved, their role fundamentally is to try and erase that history of the glorious Black African Nubians in the region, because they want to take it over for themselves and claim the history for themselves. I mean, this is exactly what they did all over Europe. And now most of us are totally unaware of the fact that Britain was originally African land as well. So in 200 years' time, the people of Sudan are probably not even going to realize that they were the original founding people of that region, and that history is their history. Let's bring in Brother Dor at this stage. Brother Dor, you are next door in South Sudan. Please, let's hear from you.
Great start, family. Glad to be back, and I really appreciate you, my elders, being sitting here, and I'm completely recharged. Whenever I'm always with the elders, a special shout out to Baba Bro Leader, Baba Daka, and Baba Tanu Tomon. Whatever A is saying is correct, because for me, of course, I'm just in my 30 this year, so I'm young, and as witnessed it, as seen it all, how we the Sudanese have been suffering. It gave the context and at the same time the perspective where we should be looking this problem. And that said, I will be dealing mainly with what I understood so far, both as a child who grew up in war until South Sudan broke away from the and gained so-called independent, right? We are basically Sudanese. We are accommodating one another. Some of my North Sudanese brothers are here in South Sudan, got refugees camps setting all over the place. So what I can say is the fact that what we are dealing with in Sudan is just a proxy wars. We got the Arab League, that is having interest in the Sudan, because Sudan is a rich country just like the Congo, just like any other country that is rich. Then there are some powers that try to manipulate and the rebel, for the so-called freedom struggle, like what they did to our own hopeful, Sudanese movement that was spearheaded by the SPLM, SPLA back in the 1980s. Because when the SPLA tried to organize itself and fight the oppressive regime, it was instantly rebranded as a war between the Christian South and Islamic North, which couldn't be, necessarily be true, because actually in the South, some of course were Christian or Christian, and some were just basically African spirituality practitioners. And in the north too, just like the way we have Babatana Tum out there, and some people in the Nuba Mountain, and others in like Eastern Sudan, like Port Sudan, and others in Darfur. They, they are not Arabs, but because of Islamization and Arabization of the Sudan, so that's how we end up in the situation we are in. So they hijacked the moment. All right, the troika that is composed of United States of America, United Kingdom, and Norway. They joined the pie, saying that they were humanitarian and they supported the SPLA, the funded it. And Dr. John Grant, the leader of the SPLA, SPLM, was fighting for a new Sudan vision, because they say that during the colonial attitude era, what the Anglo-Egyptian did, actually Sudan was under a combination of Great Britain and Egypt. So we call it as Anglo-Egyptian Sudan, condominium rule. So the condominium rule bequeathed to us a kind of a country that is not genuinely independent country, because they lump together all the people who were there, and they give power only to elite who should actually be colonial clocks, right, to maintain their colonial administrative structure in place. So that's what they did. So the movement decided to change, to bring about a united Sudan that is based on a secular law instead of Sharia law, because the year it was implemented, the moment it started organizing itself and call itself as the Sudan People Liberation Army and Sudan People Liberation Movement, SPLA, SPLM. So that's how it came about. SPLM, of course, tried to fight for a democratic, secular Sudan, for the centuries of injustice, because slavery has been practiced in Sudan, and that's how Sudan ended up with the name, just like Baba Tana Tomun said. Sudan is like a slave name, of course, because it's called Sudan or Balad al Sud, land of the blacks or land of the slave. So that's how we end up to be in this country or in this land. They try to address all these historical grievances. Unfortunately, we end up with the South separated, because the leader of the moment was just mysteriously killed in a helicopter crash after the signing of the CPA Comprehensive Peace Agreement in 2005. And so the Southerners, that that have been antagonistic toward the Northern area for their
John
domination.
Garang, you speak of, my brother.
Yes, Dr. John Grant, of course.
Yeah.
So they decided to break away, because Dr. John Grant only got some field commanders. They're actually not leaders. He's the only man that built the movement around him. And that's why sometimes we say that Dr. Grant, of course, was a leader, but his ultimate failure was the fact that he built the movement around his personality core, because it did not train some young leaders to take over, to continue with the new Sudan vision. Even now in the so-called independent South Sudan, there was a war going on. Communities are fighting among themselves along the line of tribe, and along the line of political sectarianism. So you see now, what they were fighting for themselves, they couldn't make unity attractive, as Dr. Jan Grong said, make the unity attractive. And so South End ended up split from the Greater Sudan, and now after that one, other rebel movements start cropping up, such as RSF. And RSF, of course, I think it is a Frankenstein monster of the same state machinery, which is actually South Sudan armed forces. It was used as a terror, a terror, of course, against the people by the previous president, Colonel Omar al-Bashir. So that's how RSF end up as it is now, And RSF has been on a killing spree, Same thing with SAB itself, because recently, they murdered some people that suspect to be South Sudanese, saying that, why are you still being here? Why not go back? So they start killing people there. It is actually a massacre, and no government raised it a voice, because South Sudan fear that if the leaders raise the voices, the oil flow from the south to the north, to the Port Sudan oil refinery there, for the Chinese, for the wealthy Arab Middle Easterners, simply be cut off. And so they kept quiet. So that's how the war is. And at the same time, we have AFRICOM, the U.S. African Command is around the place. And so that's why you got all these porous borders, you got all these, this dealing all over the place in Central Africa, in Democratic Republic of Congo, South Sudan, and North Sudan, and then places like Somalia. All of these places, they are porous actually for this moment to move. Weapon smugglings, all this type of network. That's why Sudan and our sisterly states such as South Sudan will never be free anytime soon, because we are dealing with what is being sponsored by international community to take advantage of African chaos. All right, I always believe that we are fighting here, cutting our throat, but the problem, we got an invisible hand, and that's white supremacy and Western global hegemony all over the place. You know, so this is the issue. Just like the way the Congo is being taught mutedly, as sister, my beautiful honorable sister Chini said moments ago, they talk it mutedly and then they put Palestine on TV, right? So all of us, we feel sympathy for the other people yet here on the ground. You see, our people are dying from types of types of harms caused by the war and insecurity itself. So our sympathies will always be here. So that's what I can add. And I think, family, it just came to time where I will simply leave the chat. And I hope next time, all right, if time permit, I'll be with you here learning from the elders. Race
Thank you,
first
Brother.
and a people old, yeah.
Race first, indeed. Race first, indeed. And if we all put race first, we wouldn't be in the situation that we're in right now. Thank you so much for your contribution there, Brother Dawes. So, we've heard about the scale of the massacre that's happening. Brother Dawes talked about the killing sprees that have been happening, across the country. And very little to anything at all is being said about it. And we've heard from our brother, Tanu Amun, about, the underlying agenda as well, to Arabize the entire region, to erase, the Nubian language, culture, and history from the minds of the people, so that the Arabs can expand and claim, that rich part of Africa and push, their Arab ideology and control and rulership further down into Africa. They're after the whole of Africa, but they're, taking it piece by piece. As I always say, they've already got all of the north, Morocco, Tunisia, all Egypt, and all those countries up there, Syria. And now they're pushing down into Sudan and spreading, their culture, their religion, their ideology, and everything. And they're doing it by force. And they're using our own people to destroy others who look like them, because of the identity crisis that's been created by these educational institutions, these religious educational institutions that they've set up. Most of us don't even realize that we're being manipulated and that we are part of the problem. Wow, wow, wow. So, Brother Leader Bandaka, you've heard a lot that's been said. Maybe, you can spotlight for us on the sort of political and military side of things. We've heard about, the ethnic tensions and the religious agenda, the ethnic agendas, the divisions between us, the spillover into South Sudan, the atrocities that's happening across the board. Let me go over to you, Brother Leader, to hear some more from you.
Tendai Mwari, well, let me first of all, Africa, to the God of Africa be the glory. Let me just give thanks and praises unto the Creator and the ancestors for blessing us with our elder brother, Tanut Amun, this evening, and our young brother, Brother Dor. I'm so inspired when he said how young he was. Sorry, my brother.
That's race first, family. And salute.
Salute.
I got my RBG plug. I got my RBG plug here. The fact that it is just dog, you know what I'm saying?
Okay, all right. So we hear you, my brother, and it's just good to know that we have young blood in the house, you know.
Yes.
Oh yes.
And so
Ashe.
And so inspired and so uplifted and so militant. That's what we need from our younger generation, and so conscious and ready to represent, and that's inspiring in itself, you know. So we give thanks and we give praises. Our elder brother Tanut Amun has given us an extensive insight into the historical context of the Arab Ma'afa, the Arabized Ma'afa. When we talk about the Ma'afa, that is a word that specifically refers, it comes from the Kiswahili language, which means great disaster or colossal destruction. And it refers to the colossal destruction of African humanity. And the insight that we've received from our elder brother Tanut Amun this evening is extremely important. In fact, from my knowledge and understanding, the intention of naming the intention of the name Sudan from Bilad as Sudan was not meant initially for the country that we call Sudan today, but was intended for this sub-Sahara, so-called sub-Sahara Africa, otherwise referred to as Black Africa. And the intention, as far as I understand it, the term means land. Bilad means land, as Sudan means the black. The concept of slavery comes in because of the mentality of the Arabs that Africans are by nature gifted to them to be reduced to slavery. And the intention was to reduce the entire African continent to slavery. The analysis that he has given us on NASA is very important, because many of us confusingly refer to NASA as a Pan-Africanist. And I'm very pleased that our elder brother has put that in its proper context. The other one that needs to be put into context is Gaddafi. It is a misconception also to assume that Gaddafi was a Pan-Africanist. Gaddafi says that Africa is a cultural vacuum. These are Gaddafi's words. And the Arab world should move into Africa. 2/3 of the Arab world is in Africa. And so the Arab world must move into Africa and fill Africa with Islam. Gaddafi said all Africa must speak Arabic. That was his vision. He was an Arab expansionist who wanted to use Africa as his power base, to conquer the planet and to spread Arabism and Islam throughout the world. We need to be clear about that, brothers and sisters, and stop holding up these Arabs who have done more damage to Africa and African people and African culture than any good. It really is a misconception that we need to understand. And it's in that context that we need to see the present conflict, the present military conflict, because both forces are Arabized forces. Neither of them are indigenous forces. Neither of them represent the indigenous people of the Sudan. I would invite our elder brother to speak to this. They are Arabized forces that were used by the Bashir regime from 1989
please
to 2019.
sorry, please continue.
Yeah.
Probably.
So
Yes,
the Bashir regime that ruled from 1989 to 1919 was an obsessive Arabized regime that used these two entities to oppress our people, the masses of our people, and to promote Arabism and to brutalize any initiative from indigenous Africans in the Sudan to establish our indigenous culture in the Sudan and to establish the will of the indigenous people of the Sudan. The other thing we need to understand is the external forces that are manipulating these two military forces in the Sudan to pursue their own interests, to satisfy their own interests, their own political and economic interests. And we speak of America first and foremost. This beast called the United States of America, who manipulated the conditions in the Sudan to cause the split between South and North, which John Garang was trying to preserve. Now, we need to understand this. I am sympathetic to the people of the South who wanted to break away from Arabism. But what we must understand is that the split that occurred was under the control and the manipulation of the government of the United States. And that South Sudan, as we see it today, is controlled by the United States. Salva Kiir is a puppet of the United States, the president of South Sudan. This is what we must understand. They had to remove John Garang because they could not control him. There was a conference that they held in Uganda, which they invited him to. And when they tried to pressure him and tried to offer him lots of goodies to sell out the people of South Sudan and the people of Sudan as a whole, and when he refused, he is plane on the way back, which is supposed to have been our helicopter, was supposed to have been the state helicopter of Museveni. We know what happened. It crashed. And John Garang and many others died on that airplane. John Garang had to be moved out of the way. It is possible that if John Garang was alive today, we would not have the situation we have in the Sudan. That is conceivable. And I'm not saying that John Garang was perfect. I'm saying that he refused to be manipulated and controlled by the West, so-called West, the conceptual West. Yes? So this is what we have to understand. Neither of these forces are benevolent forces in Sudan. Neither the Sudanese armed forces nor the Rapid Support Forces. And note the name Rapid Support Force. Rapid Support Forces was intended to be a complement to the Sudanese armed forces, which then became the personal protective military outfit for Bashir. So these two forces were working together hand in glove. The genocide in Darfur was carried out by these two forces. Let's be clear. The Sudanese, the Rapid Support Forces is formerly the former Janjaweed. Devils on horseback is what it means. Devils on horseback. So we know what their objective was. It was wicked and evil and devilish. And they carried out a genocide in Darfur. Hundreds of thousands of our people died in Darfur in the name of Arabism. This is African blood, African lives. And so we have a big problem here, beloved brothers and sisters. We have a big problem here, because if one of these forces win over the other, we are nowhere further forward. So let me pause there. I'm eager to hear what our elder brother has to say on the few comments which I have made. But let me just crown what I've said with this point, and it's just reinforcing the essence of the message that we have received from our elder brother Tanut Amon this evening. How important it is to define our own space and our own time, to name our own land, to name our own entities. It is extremely important. We speak of the Maghreb, which is northern Africa, most of northern Africa, which the Arabs call the Arab Maghreb. It means the West. It's the Arab West. They have commandeered that as the West of their world. So when we talk about the Maghreb, that's another Arabized definition of African continent that they have named as their Western region. So they are laying ownership, and the rest of the African continent below the Sahara is what they intended the name Sudan, or Bilad as Sudan, land of the blacks. Down below, that is where their enslaved Africans would come from. But they were going to control the part that they call the Maghreb as the west of their world, of their Arab world. Yeah. So let me pause there and invite. Let me hand back to you, my dear sister. But I look forward to hearing from our elder brother and our young brother Dor on those points. Tendai Mwari.
And Amwari, thank you so much, Brother Leader Bandaka, as always, giving us a very insightful perspective on the situation that we as Africans are facing. And today we're talking about, what we're facing in the region of Kush and Kemet. And beloved brother, you talked about Saddam Hussein and his ulterior agenda, which was precisely to achieve what the Arabs are trying to achieve today, is the spread and the Arabization of the whole of Africa. And they themselves obviously saw themselves as the ones who would be fitted to rule over all Africa. And, it's a very painful situation. As Brother Dor says, it should be about race first. It should be about Africans, us as Africans first. And, it's wonderful that this generation coming up, the young generation, are seeing beyond the Arab agenda and the religious agendas. And they're seeing, first and foremost, that we are race first, we are Africans. And before religion, before ethnicity, before nationality or anything else, it absolutely has to be about race first if we're going to save ourselves. I see we've been joined by two other guests. I suspect that maybe our young brother Dor has given a couple of people the wrong address, or maybe they are joining us because they would like to speak on this platform and share perspectives. So I've got Madutha Diko. Welcome, Madutha Diko. Did you want to speak, or are you just listening in? Please take yourself off mute and let me know.
Hello, comrades. I'm really enjoying your discussion. I will listen. I will listen for a while, then I will share my ideas. I'm Diko from Sudan, Darfur.
Wonderful. You're welcome, beloved. Thank you very much. I can see we're also, yes, hail up, Deco. I can see we're also joined by Akoya. Welcome, Akoya. Would you like to share your perspective, or are you just listening in for a while? Please take yourself off mute and let us know. Akoya? Okay, Akoya to everyone. Go ahead.
Hello, everyone. Nice to meet you, brothers and sisters. I am Akoya from Sudan. Now I live in Darfur area.
Welcome, beloved. I look forward to hearing from you as well. You know, we welcome, you know, you sharing with us what the situation is actually like on the ground in Darfur and in Sudan. So we will be coming back to you, our beloved brothers. Rise up, race first every time. If we can go back to our brother Tantu Amun. Welcome, brother Tantu Amun. You may want to respond to some of what Brother Dor and Brother Leader Mbandaka have been saying.
Yes, I say hi to young brother Dul from South Sudan. He's a great. And my brother Bandaka, he's very knowledgeable about what's happening in Sudan. Thank you, my brother.
Thank you.
The issue, I will just try to explain about, we have African Union, but African Union have no power to stop this massacre, this genocide of indigenous people in Sudan. African Union is funded by EU, by Europe. African Union have no power itself in Africa.
Absolutely.
African Union is funded by Arab League, by wealthy Arab country in the Gulf. So have no power in African issues. Africa, some African politicians, they are very corrupted. And China is playing a role in dealing with corrupted Africans also. And Europe, all they are dealing with these people. So African Union have no power. And the second thing, Africa have a problem. In the heart of Africa, we have two schools which are not the same. One is supposed to work for African development, which is Africa Union, and one is working for African destruction, which is Arab League, Arab Union. Is in Egypt, in Africa. This is a conflict of interest in Africa itself. This is a major problem. Africans are not discussing this. You cannot have a cancer in your body and you don't seek treatment. Arab League, it is not in his agenda to develop Africa. It's to colonize Africa. So African Union cannot speak about these issues. So we have a problem in Africa. And back in the history, Arabia mastered the slavery in Africa before the European. Before the European came to Africa, Arabia mastered the slavery in East Africa. And one of in one country of those, they took the slaves is Sudan, what they call Sudan now, Nubia. And the two leader dictators in North Africa, Jamal Abdel Nasser and Muammar al-Gaddafi, I don't see them Pan-Africans. Those people are Arab nationalists, ultra-Arab nationalists. They was spreading Arabization in Africa. All their action was not about to build Africa or to unite Africa. No, it was spreading Arabization in Africa. I don't agree with our people in Africa. They talk about Jamal Abdel Nasser and Muammar al-Gaddafi as African leaders and Pan-African. That's not true. Because I live in a border, I have Jamal Abdel Nasser from north, my border from north, Jamal Abdel Nasser, and from west, I have Muammar al-Gaddafi. And I experience in my life what Jamal Abdel Nasser did to us and what Muammar al-Gaddafi did to us. These two persons, to their power, they did few things in Africa, like Gaddafi was Arab nationalist, was a student of Jamal Abdel Nasser, but when he get in trouble with European, he ran to Africa and put some money here and some money there and built some hospital there or some school there. But that's not mean Gaddafi was Pan-African. Gaddafi, from his first day when he make a coup d'etat until the last day, he was ultra-Arab nationalist. Gaddafi destroyed one of the oldest population of Libya, Luba, the people of Tabu, the black people. They pushed them to south of Libya and they destroyed their culture. And Gaddafi, in all his time, worked to Arabize these black people. Tabu. Those Tabu, they are Kamites. They are Nubian Kamites. And now they exist in South Libya and in Chad and in Central Africa and in Niger and in Sudan. But the part of Tabu in Sudan, they became Arabized, like the rest of the Sudanese, by the power of Jamal Abdel Nasser and Gaddafi and Institute of Al-Azhar. They Arabized black people. So this has to be clear to our brothers in Africa, deep in Africa. They never experienced what Jamal Abdel Nasser and Muammar al-Gaddafi did. But in Nubia, in Sudan, we experience it. Those are not Pan-African, those are Pan-Arab, those are ultra-Arab nationalists, and they work to spread Islamo-Arabization of Africa. What we have in Sudan, the word the Janjaweed, like my brother Bandaka explained it very well, the devils on the back of the horse, this was created by Gaddafi from 1970s. He was planning in this problem. And still our brothers and sisters consider Gaddafi is a Pan-African. No, he's not Pan-African. He was just fooling us, giving some money and build some institute here and there. No. And Nasser of Egypt, Jamal Abdel Nasser, he was the enemy of Africa. He destroyed the heart of Africa. He destroyed Nubia. Nubia is the center of Africa. Nubia is a mother, black mother of Egypt. Nasser of Egypt, Jamal Abdel Nasser is the one who destroyed Nubia and changed its name to Sudan. Sudan in Arabic, as my brother Bandaka says, blood is Sudan. But in the philosophy of Arabia, it means land of slaves. And Sudan is not only my country. Sudan, it's from Somalia, Ethiopia, Eritrea, Sudan, Chad, Niger, Mali, Burkina Faso, Senegal. All these black Muslims, they call them Sudan. Blood Sudan means the land of slaves, where Arabia used to take slaves. So this is what means Sudan, is to erase the history of Africa, the contribution of the black African in the Nile Valley civilization. The word Sudan, it's an Arabic word. As soon as I say any Africa from Central Africa or from South Africa, when ask me, where are you from, brother? When I say Sudan, I'm sending a message saying I'm not African. I'm Arab. I'm a slave for Arabia. The word Sudan carries this meaning. And as a brother Bandaka says about Maghreb, which is Morocco. When they say Maghreb is the West, West to who? To who they are West? To the Arabia, center of Arabia, the philosophy, the idea of Arabia. They call it West. But why they call it, it used to have a name, Morocco. They erase Arabian ideology, erase the names of the places in Africa and the names of the people and the names of the cities and towns. Morocco means, it's a two word. Morra in the language of Amazigh, Morra means the land. Akush means the Lord Kush, the god Kush. Marrakesh means the land of the god Kush. Wow. So they was Kushites, they was Nubian, Kemites, but now they are just Maghreb. Yeah. So what those Arabized leader in North Africa, what they did to Africa, they destroyed the African history, the African ideas, the African methods, the African culture. And now the people who live in those black African countries carrying Arabic name, we lost everything. We lost our connection to our history back, to our great civilization, to our philosophy. We know, I don't want to talk about history of what the Herodotus wrote about African civilization in Nubia and Kemet, because you all know about this, but I want our sisters and brothers in Africa to understand dictators in North Africa like Jamal Abdel Nasser and Muammar al-Gaddafi, those are not Pan-African. Those two guys, especially those two guys, they destroy African culture, African heritage in North Africa. Sudan, what's going on in Sudan now? The war, Brother Bandaka, again, he explained this very well. This war is about controlling the resources and minerals of Sudan. Sudan is very rich with a lot of resources and a lot of minerals, gold, uranium, oil, and other stuff. You can see what the Arab rule in this problem, but African Union cannot address this. They cannot discuss this because Arab are funding African Union itself. So African Union, they are not operating in African methods, African idea. No, they are operating in something else. And we see now what they try to do to our young brother, Ibrahim Traore. They want to remove him as they did in the past to many of our late leaders. And Arabia is playing a big role in this. Sudan, people don't see what's going on in Sudan. They only see the war, what is happening now. But Sudan is in war since beginning, since 1956, when the Britain left Sudan. And some Sudanese, Arabized, of course, when we say Sudanese means Arabized Sudan, they celebrate that as a Sudan independent, but we are not independent. We are still mentally castrated, and we are still colonized. We are not independent. If we are independent, today we will carry African names. None of Sudanese carry African names. Majority of Sudanese carry Arab names, and some of them carry European names. And that tells you what is going on in Sudan. Even though we are Black and we have African languages, and we have great history inside these languages, but mentally we are Arabized. And still we're holding the name Sudan. The Sudanese who became Arabized, those are the one who ruling Sudan since 1956. And they steering Sudan toward Arabia. And with Jamal Abdel Nasser and Al-Azhar and state of Egypt, they work strongly to embed or to impose Arabic language, Arabic culture, and Arabic methods of the life. So we lost our ideas, our methods, and we are still holding on our languages, but we don't have opportunity to teach our languages in our school in Sudan, in Darfur, in Kordofan, in Blue Nile, in Bija area, Eastern Sudan, in Nilotic Nubian, in far north, in the border with Egypt. We are not allowed to teach our language because they want to erase this history. So this is a major problem of Sudan. We have to study the problem from the beginning. So this is how I see the issue of Sudan, and I would like to hear from other brothers and sisters also in this issue. And thank you.
Thank you so much, Tuta Amun. Thank you for that. I'm sure everybody who's listened to you can see the problem now for what it really is, you know. And although we're focusing on Sudan, as you were speaking, we can see that the Arab religion, you know, has spread across West Africa and many other parts of the continent as well. And, you know, the story that came to mind was the offer from, was it Saudi Arabia, to Ibrahim Traore of 200 mosques. You see, this is what they do. They go to all the African countries and they offer to build them magnificent mosques, you know. And of course, once they build the mosque, it's like an educational institution. And then all the young people on a Friday, they get dressed and they're in the mosque, they're praying 5 times a day. And as you say, you know, they begin to erode and erase the African culture, and then it's replaced with the Arab culture. So we go to parts of Africa now and, you know, they're practicing the Arab culture, and, you know, their own culture is put to one side. And so this is a major problem for the whole of Africa. And that is what seems to be constant as well. So it's like, irrespective of what's going on, the wars, the famine, the genocide, the political maneuverings, the manipulation, what's constant is that move to Arabized Africa. That is constant across the whole of Africa, irrespective of what's going on. And it's so important that we talk about this. And I'm so glad we're having this discussion, especially with young people in our midst as well, because they're getting a history. I know we haven't gone back as far as the 1500 years of Arab enslavement. And let's never forget, you know, those 1500 years or so of Arab enslavement, which I'm told was even worse than the European enslavement. And I can't imagine anything being worse than the enslavement that we went through under the Europeans. But I'm hearing that the Arabs, and as we know, there are still parts of North Africa where our people are being enslaved until today, where they're, you know, they're locking up our women, treating them in the most inhumane way and throwing them over balconies when they feel that, you know, they've exhausted their use. You know, so our people need to start seeing the Arabs for what they really, really are. And the sooner we wake up, the sooner we'll begin to start sorting out the problem that we need to be dealing with. Let's bring in our young Deco. Welcome, beloved Deco. Really would love to hear from you to find out what the situation is on the ground in Sudan where you are. Please take yourself off mute and join the conversation. Brother Deco, please unmute. Okay, I'll just wait for our brother Deco to unmute. Let me go to the audience and rise up the family and get a kind of feel for the conversation that's happening in the chat right now. Someone's just said Mauritiana. Yes, in terms of enslavement. One of my guests may want to speak on, Mauritania, may want to speak on Mauritania. Rise up, beloved Kwame, in the house. Kwame Ossi says, clash of civilizations, Arab Islam and Western Christianity, the game being played on Africa. You're right. I mean, to them, it's a game. To us, it's genocide. It's a genocide of our history, genocide of our culture, genocide of everything that we have held dear for thousands and thousands of years. Zizi Way, good to have you in your house. He says that OAU became a tool of imperialism. All Arabs are not monogamous. There are different ideologies and class statuses. Okay, rise up, brother Zizi Way. We've got Kashiba in the house says, what is an Arab? Where did they originate from? You know, to me, they're just, mixed race. This is what happens when we populate outside of our race. You know, we cause the problems for our future generations. Who are the Arabs? They're a mix of the indigenous Africans and the Europeans, and others may want to add to that. Brother Deco, we're waiting for you. I'll come back as soon as you unmute. We've got the Jamaican Junker in at the O's. Always a pleasure. Rise up, Jamaica Junker. And he says 720. It even spread in Jamaica. What? The Arab thing are spreading in Jamaica? My gosh. Rise up, brother Deco.
Hello.
Go ahead,
Yeah,
beloved.
it's clear. Yeah, I really appreciate the discussion. I mean, the speech of Tanut Amun. I think he explained all the key issues concerning the Sudanese problem, Sudanese crisis. And Tanut Amun, we consider him as one of the key figures for Pan-Africanism in Sudan. We are really, as a young guys, we follow his steps, and he's great. We not just only a figure, but like a good father with his Afrocentric view. It is very critical. His perspective, especially like our situation in Sudan, because we're living in cultural dominance, like mahogany. Because the Arabization of Sudan, it is the main reason of all the crisis now Sudan is suffering for. Sudanese people are very weak, and their role toward African development is very weak, their participation. And that's why now even the Sudanese youth themselves, they're not active in the African stream, Pan-Africanism as general. You know, there so many things because the political contact in Sudan, it's been dominant by the Arabized elites, and especially the Pan-Arabianism, which before a while another one has spoken about it. And Pan-Arabianism as general, it's again it's Pan-Africanism. It works against it, and that's why we suffered a lot from their Arabization policies towards Sudan, toward North Africa as general, and the other. And the most interesting I think about the what I think the Tanut Amon has lighted on the Gaddafi himself, and some African leaders that who were working for the pan urbanism, and they have worked very negatively. And that's why before 2 days, when people were commemorating, you know, his death, and I've wrote something about his story as very very, has named it, a very controversial story. In the beginning of his rule, he was directly supporting Janjaweed militia, the Islamo-Arabic regime, and then at the end of his time, he start standing against the Sudanese regime. That's why he was very contradicted through his journey, through his positions was very contradicted, and that this is one of the problems how that we as Africans, we need to refocus and to put high, you know, concentration and to the issue of urbanization. I think because so many of the Africans in general, precisely like people in South Africa, some Kenya, East Africa, other sides of Africa, they're not going to look deeply in the problem of urbanization because there is countries now, very important countries, nations that are suffering from this, and it's considered the main problem. So we had Janjaweed militia, we have countries, the Sahel countries themselves, militias like Boko Haram, the same as ISIS, all of them are emerging from the Arabic Islamic, you know, project in Africa's general. And this is what we should be clear about it, because the battle, like now, it's a battle of mind as general, because now if we take a look, all of us, we are Africans, and precisely like Sudan, but the issue is the issue of ideologies, because we have institutions who going to invest the ignorance, which is in Africa, they're going to paralyze people and organizing them to work against the African people themselves. You know, so that's why I think all Africans should be clear about that, to be against the Arabization, and that's why the war in Sudan, as general, it is part of the violent strategy of Arabizing the Sudanese people, because the Janjaweed militia now, the war is depends on the Islam-Arabic ideology. It depends of, because even while they're killing the Sudanese people, they're going to rebuke them and insult them like slaves and all that. And now they're going to be supported by the Gulf countries, Pan-Arabist countries, and so forth. So that's why and that's why the issue is not just about just storing the materials, destroying the country, but it is a project which is going to extend to all African countries. Like if they take the power in Sudan, they will go to Chad, they will go to Niger, they will go to Burkina Faso, and this is the project, and it is very old project. So now they're putting Sudan as priority, but their strategy, if just they have 2 points Sudan and take control of the Sudanese people's land, directly they will move to South Sudan, and by war the same way, because they're going to be backed by the imperialism. It's not just the Saudi Arabia, Arab countries, they're just only proxies, but the main players, they are the Western countries who are staying behind, you know, the show. So I think the situation which the Sudanese people are in it, and Africans in general, it is very critical. It needs solidarity, it needs awareness, and even it needs like high networking and collective effort to have to show our fist to the world and to the imperialism that the African people, they have a will, they have identity, they have civilization, and they have ability to wake up again and to be in the forefront of the world and humanity. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Brother Deco. Absolutely agree with you in what you said there. And, you know, what's going on in Sudan, the war in Sudan right now is critical and is one of the most important things that, you know, all Africans need to be focused on, because, yeah, if they get Sudan, if they take Sudan, then, you know, they're going to then be going after Chad, like you said, Niger, and all of the other countries in West Africa. If it takes them 200 years, it may take them 300 years, but that is their strategy and that is their plan. And we all need to wake up as African nations and as African people and be aware of that.
Word song.
Sister Betty's reminding us in the chat that we have no friends. We have no friends indeed. Brother Kwame Oboje is also saying that we as Pan-African activists must do more to voice our condemnation of the mistreatment of Africans at home and abroad. Absolutely. You know, Brother Ziziwe, we did go into saying why Gaddafi is not being viewed as a Pan-Africanist. You might need to just go back over what has been said there. And he says that there has been thousands of years of intermingling of those who are calling Arabs and Africans in the area, those who are calling Arabs. Yes, thousands of years of intermingling indeed, to our detriment, I would say, Brother Ziziwe. That intermingling has been to our detriment. Prior to the Arabs coming into our land, we as Africans were all over the North African region. We owned Tunisia, we owned the land of Morocco, we owned the land in that entire region, but we don't anymore. And in the same way that they've taken over the north of Africa, they are pushing down with the intention of taking over Central Africa, then West Africa. They've already got some of East Africa as well, because through their religion and through their control of some of our misleaders. I mean, look at Tanzania, for example, giving over a piece of land almost the size of Great Britain to the UAE, so for them to use it as a game park. It's like, you know, giving your enemy a base in your backyard from which to organize their militia groups, you know, to attack your neighbors. We are just not in our right minds as a people. You know, it's a serious problem. Yes, Brother Kwame Oboje, we betray our own race, shamefully do so, agree entirely. I want to rise up, everybody, for the comments. Let's see if I can bring in a comment from someone I've not mentioned. Kwame Osei, yes, Clash of Civilizations. I did mention that comment there. Kashiba, good to have you in the house. Sister Shanice, write a book in English on this subject, please. Well, I tell you, you know, our brothers have delivered, you know, so eloquently what the situation is. But I agree, we need to focus, and, you know, put more emphasis on what is going on here, even more than we're doing at the moment, because these people, they have a plan. They have a 100-year, 200-year plan. They already see themselves probably in control of the whole of Sudan and that region. And, you know, too many of us are just getting ready for Friday night, you know. You're right, Kwame Oboje, we're not poor. You know, our land is extremely, extremely rich. But yes, we're not in our right minds because we allow others that don't look like us to come in, set up their schools, set up their mosques, to take up positions of power and then control us. Imagine you've got your home and your family and your riches, and you know, allow others to come in and tell you that you can't speak your language, that you have to go to their schools, that your children have to speak the Arab language, that you have to give your children Arab names, that you have to, what? And then we've got members of the family who are whipping other members of the family to comply, you know, massacring our people in the hundreds of thousands, displacing people in the millions. You know, we are definitely not in our right mind. Kwame Ofe says, Gaddafi overthrew an African king called Idris and practiced a form of apartheid in Libya until 2011, when he was rightly murdered. Wow. You see, when you're on the ground, you have a totally different perspective of what's going on. Yes, Kashiba, that's why Burkina Faso has dropped out of the AU. Also Mali and Niger, they see the hypocrisy. They see that it's being controlled by outside forces. I'll go back to the chat in a little while. We're 15 minutes away from the top of the hour. Let me give my guests just 5 minutes each, and hopefully it'll leave me a few minutes to close. Brother Leader Bandaka, let me give you less than 5 minutes, everybody, actually, otherwise it's not going to add up to 15 minutes at all. Brother Leader, thank you for being a powerful voice, a conscious voice on this topic. There is going to be a part 3, maybe even next strong, because I've got a beloved brother from Sudan who couldn't make it today, who can make it next strong. So, you know, if time permits for each of you, and if availability is there, I would really welcome us to revisit this next strong again. Brother Leader Bandaka.
Tendai Mwari. Yeah, my first instinct, my dear sister, is to once again hail you for putting this on the agenda, putting this issue of Sudan, or Nubia more appropriately, but the country is universally known as Sudan, on the agenda, so that at least we are talking about the situation in the Sudan, and we are informing ourselves of the Sudan, the current situation, the current affairs of Sudan, as well as getting a rich historical perspective, as we have done this evening. I want to also join you in welcoming our dear brother Mudata Diko. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. It's just great to connect with our people from all over the world, but in particular our people from the motherland. And I was just excited when our brother said, I'm from Darfur, because it's not often that you get the chance to meet, even virtually, Africans from Darfur. When hopefully we will have a part 3 next week, or whenever we have a part 3, I hope our brother would be able to join us and speak more about the situation in Darfur, the historical situation as well as the current situation, because much of the present situation is unfolding in terms of the conflict between the war between these two factions are unfolding in a particularly vicious way in Darfur, and our people are suffering in Darfur. So we need to hear more about that. I'm not going to say much more because others need to wrap up, except to say, beloved brothers and sisters, again, as I started off saying earlier on, the United Nations, not that I put a great importance on them, but they are the international body that is recognized by most countries in the world. And they are saying that the worst humanitarian crisis in the world presently is in the Sudan. And that speaks volumes. And so it is our problem. It's our blood, not their blood that's being shed. Our blood is being shed in the Sudan. And we must identify with the suffering of our people as if it is, and it is in fact our suffering, and do the very best we can to, at the very least, spread the word and make our people everywhere understand what is going on. We have to be our own African media. So I close with the words of the most eminent prophet and king, His Excellency Marcus Mosiah Garvey, as I always do. Unite, organize now or perish. Rise, you mighty African people, for you can accomplish whatever you will. Rumbid so kunamwari Africa, to the God of Africa be the glory. Kudzai muzimu mukuru, give praises unto our ancestors. Tendai Mwari.
And Amwari, thank you as always, Brother Leader Bandaka. Certainly hope that you'll be able to join us next strong. Brother Diko, just to say while I remember, I love your attire. I love your image there.
Oh yes, yes, indeed. Sorry to interrupt. I meant to have said that myself. So I'm happy
I just had to say it while I remember.
No, yes. It's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
Yes, indeed. Thank you for joining us, beloved, and certainly hope that you'll be able to join us next strong. I'll try and get the link to you for next Wednesday. Brother Tuta Amour, let me give you a few minutes to leave us with some closing remarks, and we look forward to continuing this discussion, hopefully with you as well if you're available next Wednesday, beloved.
Yes, thank you, sister. I don't have much to say. I will just wrap it up. There was a question about some people ask where the Arab comes from, where they came. The Arab, they came from intermarriage of Indo-European with the Kushites. In what they call today Arabia, Persia, India, it was East Africa. Africa was all the way to India. The black people was living there. And we know the humanity started, the people, what we call them now Homo sapien, they started in Africa. And from Africa, they went to Europe and Asia. And there, the Indo-European came back and intermarried with a black African, and they produced the result of that, Arabia and Persia and India. But I just want to highlight about one issue. I'm supposed to say this first, sorry. I just want to thank you, young brother Diko, if I pronounce his name right. Diko, you said very well, and thank you very much for these strong words. Before I leave, I want to highlight the importance of our African languages and our African names, because language carry our philosophy, our ancestors' philosophy and history, and our attachment to the ground.
Yes.
It only exists in our language. It doesn't exist in other language we are talking with, we are using it. Yeah. Our culture, our philosophy is only...
We've just lost our beloved brother there.
In his flow.
Yes, but I certainly hope that he'll be able to rejoin us. Let me go over to Diko. Diko, let me give you just a minute or two to leave us with some closing remarks. It's been a pleasure have you joining us from Darfur.
Yeah, it's really a wonderful feeling too. Because I just meant to listen, but I find the issue is very interesting, and you're a genuine people. Like the issues you're discussing, it's really important. And I hope just in the coming times you're going to share me the link. Get me to continue sending us. That's all. Welcome, Borof. Tanut.
Yes, I'll share the link. Did you get the link via door?
Yeah, by a door in group.
Excellent. Yes, I'll share the link with Door for next Wednesday as well.
Yeah, tell him just to send it in Borof Rumumba.
Yes. And I will do. And you can watch back this discussion and share it with your people in Darfur. Let the people of Darfur know that we feel your pain. You know, we feel the suffering of our people in Darfur. We feel the suffering of our people in Kush, you know, and we stand with you all. So please let the family know they're not on their own. Thank you so much, beloved. As you could see, our brother has been, Tuta Amun has been trying to rejoin us, but unfortunately he's having difficulty and we do need to wrap up now. You know, we've been having the conversation about Sudan today, and we're going to be continuing to have this conversation and to take it into a part 3. And I think Sudan really is a classic example of the situation that we will find ourselves in as Africans, wherever we are in the world, for as long as we are divided as a people, for as long as we allow ourselves to be divided by religion, for as long as we allow ourselves to be divided by language, divided by ethnicity, to be divided by clan, to be divided by, you know, whatever, you know, the external influences may want to use to try and divide us, for as long as, you know, we as a people allow ourselves to be divided, we're going to find that we are going to be used and manipulated to fight against each other, to fight against ourselves, our brothers and our sisters, and end up committing genocide against ourselves. And then when we have wiped out, you know, our population to the extent when we are so weak, that's when we're going to see those outside forces come in and take over. And as Synovia said in the chat, Rise Up Sis, she said, we would no longer have a home to call our own. So we have to come together. We have no other choice. Welcome, Black, our beloved Tanto Omon. Let me give you 2 minutes, please, to take us up to the top of the hour.
Thank you very much. I apologize. Some friends are calling.
No problem.
They took me out.
Oh, that's what happens.
I thank you very much, Sister Shanez and brother Bandaka, and all the people who attend this discussion, and wishing to see you in the future. And this is important for our people to understand the situation from the people who came from the ground. From in the case of Sudan, they have to listen to the Sudanese who carry the African ideas, the African methods, and carry the African languages, because these languages carry our history, our culture, our methods. And the second thing, our names. Our names carry our history, our ancestors' history. So we have to stick to our names, and we should not wear our master's name. We should wear our culture and our history, our ancestors' name. And thank you very much. And I will say here a word from Nubin, the language I speak. I will tell you, Maskilogo. Maskilogo means we meet again in happiness.
Maskilogo.
Yes.
Maskilogo. I share all that word. We have to close out tonight. And rise up, everyone in the chat. MS says prayers for Sudan, its people and family. And Jamaica Junker said powerful message today. And SK saying awesome session today, kings and queens. Ashe to each of you. Maskilogo. More love, more strength. Peace.
Yes.
Peace be with you all.
Yeah.
Thank you, family.
Thank you for that.
I'll be back in charge.
Okay.
I'll be back in touch. More love.